those are the most important things you can say to a person. You know, my high school coach was in the Coaching Hall of Fame, and one thing he did demand was personal responsibility. So I think sometimes with optimism, some of the research says you can blame it on situations and all that, which actually helps people try harder and stuff in some ways, but it can remove us from personal responsibility. And my high school coach, the worst thing you could do is make an excuse. And I knew that. I saw it my whole career. And then my senior year, we were getting ready for playoffs, and he told the quarterback to throw a pass to me, and it got dark out there. It was a long pass play. And the ball went, somewhere, and he said, "Hey, did you catch that ball?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Why not?" He set me up. I said, "I couldn't see it." He said, "Oh, you couldn't see the ball. I guess we need some lights." And so the team was looking at me. Everybody knew not to make excuses for this guy. He took us down and practiced for another hour. My teammates did not like me because we turned on the lights. And I thought, that's not fair. And then I later learned, not long afterward, the professional football players and their quarterbacks work together, the receivers and quarterbacks, to catch the ball in the dark. Because if the timing's right and all that, you can catch it in the dark. Didn't seem possible, but he knew it was. He also knew I was going to make an excuse. And also decided to really make everybody hate me for that bit. But it was personal responsibility. There's always something you can do. And then another thing I learned from my coach was if something works, keep doing it. And we're going to talk about this sort of at the end, but every kid's different. I had a parent this morning tell me, God should have given me a playbook for every different kid I have. That person had 4 kids. It's like because they're all different, and y'all know that. It's like, so you got to see what works for this kid, what works for that kid. And the best teacher I ever had on teaching told me, if your class is not making good grades, you shouldn't blame them. You should ask, what am I doing wrong as a teacher? Coach Laddiser, there's a book called When the Game Stands Tall. It's another football book. It's a football book. I highly recommend When the Game Stands Tall. He's weird as all get out. Greatest high school coach. Have you ever read it? He's the greatest high school coach ever. They won 157 games in a row. He also didn't talk about winning. But one of the cool things I remember he did was, the book starts out, his team is struggling, and they're not picking up this linebacker that's blitzing from the other team. And he could have told them how to deal with this. And they said, "Coach, we don't know what to do with this." And at halftime, he comes in at halftime, they go, "We can't stop that linebacker." And he said, "Why do you always rely on me to problem solve? Problem solving is a lot of being successful in life." And he just walked out of the locker room and figured it out. Greatest coach in the history of high school. Nobody's ever won 157 games straight. He'd take on all comers. Hoover, wherever, everywhere, anywhere in the country, he'd go play them. And, I was working with a parent today, and the kid I thought was making a bad decision on strategy. Like, the kid wanted to go over some trees, and the kid asked his dad, "What do you think I should do?" And the dad said, "I don't know." Well, he didn't say that. He said, "What do you think?" And he let the kid try it, and I think it hit a tree or something. And then I asked the dad, "Did you think that's what he should have done?" And it wasn't exactly what the dad thought he should have done. But they processed it, and they tried again, and over. But the dad gave him a chance instead of because if the dad had just problem solved for him, that kid wasn't going to get better. So I think that's a good thing I learned from Coach Laddiser. Coach Laddiser also, he's just weird. I'm not going to get into more of Coach Laddiser. I talked to the guy. I tried to get him to come to my class at Sanford. I was going to pay my own money. I was sort of obsessed with his coaching techniques. I was going to fly him in, and he got close. And he's a different human being. The colleges tried to lure him away from that high school job. He's still coaching at De La Salle High School. I mean, he's definitely internally driven, does his own thing, and there's not another coach in mind like him. Never will be.
So the benefit of letting kids process, their own, figure it out. I mean, if we continue to do that for them, then they're going to always look to us, and they'll never be able to use like that part of their brain, or you know what I mean? They'll never have to rationalize all of that in their own selves. They'll just be thinking, "Well, Dad, told me to do this," or
exactly, and they're not learning and experimenting and all that.
I think that's huge. Personally, it's what I would love to see more of. You know, you just, I don't, maybe it's just, I don't know if it's a generational or society thing, but when I watch and observe, and obviously try to coach kids, I can't believe how little they try things on their own independently. And I don't know if it's a generation thing that I did that as a youngster, or maybe a cultural thing that we were just left to our own devices on everything. There wasn't, it didn't mean my parents weren't guiding me, I guess, but it never appeared they were.
I just feel like you have
Because
to make your own mistakes.
So we would have to learn by mistakes over and over and over again, because there wasn't that safety net. I guess there was a safety net. You always knew someone was there, but the safety net was that much lower. And so, I just look at, I struggle living here at times, coming from a different environment with raising kids, because I see, like for instance, not golf, but soccer. So I played at a reasonably good level at a very young age. And I never had any formal coaching in any shape or form. All I did was play with bigger kids down the local park. And so when I played in an organized level, even then, there was nothing really overly structured. And no one ever showed up to games. There was, certainly my parents never showed up. I mean, there was like one parent there out of the whole either team. And this was pretty high level of youth soccer. And then I come over here, but I would kick a ball against a wall for an hour every day without fail, inside of my house, until my neighbour would come out and say, "Stop doing it." It was just, I did it every day, and then I'd be down the park. I mean, I just could not stop kicking the ball around, and then it was never a question of, and if my brother come out and played brilliant, most of the time he would. If he didn't, I had to do it on my own. And then my dad got home from work, even better, because we'd go down the park and I got to kick with my dad, which was really cool. And so that's what would happen. And here, I don't know if it's just the way the houses are built over here, but they're so big and there's no public parks. And it's like someone has to drive the kids there. And so they never get to a chance to experiment. Even when they have stayovers with other kids, it's like it's an enclosed environment all the time. It's never like you could just get on your bike and go to the local. It's very few of that around. And as a result, kids don't, I think, experiment on anything and are afraid to take risks. Maybe because the parents are too involved or too overbearing. They're trying to be, it's just a society. Or maybe, like you said, it's, but it just seems like that's why I don't think kids aren't getting better as much as they should do, because they're not allowed to take the risks, they're not allowed to screw up. And I don't think, it's like, or don't climb in that tree, you could fall. Like, I tell him, get up that tree, and if you fall, maybe you figure it out. And it's hard. I tell my wife, don't say that. Let him go on those rocks, let him climb that tree and figure it out. And he's a scaredy cat, he ain't going up there anyway. But I'm just, he'll reach a point, but I try to encourage as much, and I try not to watch and hover over. But how do you, a parent, you want to hover over your kids, but at some point, you've got to let them go. And I just feel like it's really hard over here, because, I don't know, it's just like, there's no public areas kids can go and play and just be kids. And as a result, I think that then transfers across to all sports, because getting your point, but we'll get a little bit of your point, Amy, is when I watch, when I first take a pupil, and if they're a kid, and they hit a shot, and they hit it really great, and it's nice to watch them look back at their parents, you see that the excitement on their face when they hit it right, that's brilliant. But every time they hit a shot and they look back at the parents, that's not good. And so that's a little bit what I observe when I see a kid. Like today, we had these two girls that came to the beginner class, and the parents said, well, how did they get on this at the other? I said, they did brilliant. She goes, well, how do you, I said, they did really well. I said, well, how do you, I guess she was asking how to quantify. Because I said, I didn't see him look back at you one time. And that's what I looked at, like, they'll learn, because they're independent. But if they were like, every time they looked and like they hit a bad shot and they look across to their parent, that's a problem. And because they're always going to be looking for guidance, they're going to come run back. And so for me, even we've had quite a few college kids recently, and you know, a couple of the girls from Hoover have moved on. So Julie and Alison, and they started from day one with coming out here and going through the program and everything else. And when they're seeing you so often, twice a week for whatever, 8, 7 years, and then some individual lessons along the way, and you see these people a lot, I was concerned what would happen when they moved away to university. Was I going to be the first bad round? They're going to be on the phone, oh, help me, help me, help me. And it never happened. And I've been very pleased. So I still see them but I never get phone calls to them about. Occasionally I might get, and I'd always offer, I'm here, you text me your swing, I'll help you. Never here. That's fantastic. I didn't think that was going to be the case. But it's good that they're taking ownership, and if they take a bad round or have a bad series or whatever, they don't call them, you know, oh, what went wrong? There must be some flaw. They deal with it themselves. So I was surprised, to be honest, on that, but I was really pleased. And I told him, I said, this is the best news, because I didn't hear any news, you know, which is good, because you don't want that. If someone's going to be any good, they've got to figure it out. As I guess going back to that coach at half time is a great analogy, because yeah, they got to figure it out. I mean, among themselves or among, you know, as in the golfer, because when they're on the golf course and they're having a bad day, how are they going to figure out that slice that's developed in the first couple of holes? How are they going to get it the lowest possible score? You know, if it means they have to aim in the trees on the left, aim in the trees on the left. I don't care. I'm not looking for a perfect swing when you're on the golf course. I'm looking for the best score you can probably do, and then fix it after the round, because that's playing golf. And it's not always going to be exactly the most manicured golf course you'll ever play as well. You know, if you're brought up in a perfect environment all the time, and you go to something lesser, you don't like it, and so on and so forth. So anyway, that's a little bit mine. But I just think problem solving is huge. I think it's huge. And being a parent, letting it go, I'm going to be looking at that. I mean, over the next so many years, I'll be going through that too, and it's going to be hard, because you want to help out. And you might even have this peer pressure that you know, I've kind of told my wife, I'm not going to go to every game, and it's like, you look like a bad parent. Just like, how they've got to figure things out on their own, and they're looking at me for advice on baseball. They certainly have got you know, it's just the way it is. I'm trying to help. I think they've got to help themselves.
Well, it used to be like that in our society.
It could be. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's generational or cultural.
We would leave out in the morning. Our parents didn't see us until we got hungry at noon.
Yeah.
Okay, and the only reason we came home was to eat. We were left to our own resources.
No, we didn't have Facebook. Yesterday I saw 4 missing kids on Facebook yesterday.
That's right.
So it's, you know.
It was a closer knit society, for one thing. You knew your neighbor.
Yes.
You knew you could depend on your neighbor to do the right thing. That old saying, it takes a village, that's assuming the village is good. Our village has become the problems.
I used to play on the railroad tracks. My
Yeah.
mom didn't really know that, I guess. And in the woods, you know, I don't know.
You wouldn't dare let your kid do that.
Yeah.
So as society has, I don't know, evolved, what company
I don't know, Marissa, but that's just observations I've seen, and transfer